Hola YouTube, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Darieny, and if you're new here, bienvenidos. Today's video is going to be the video that I promised you guys I would do. And the video is a story time about my biggest heartache. I understand that I make YouTube videos and that you guys want to know as much as you can about me. However, I tend to be a private person, mainly because I also want to protect myself and my heart. But I think it's time. One of the main reasons why I want to make this video is because, one, I need to let it out because a lot of people actually don't know about my biggest heartache. And when I say a lot of people, I mean important people to me, like family. They don't know about what happened. So I think it's time to just set the record straight, put it out there, and I'm going to try to make this video as quick as possible, and I'm going to try to make this video as truthful as possible for me. Obviously, there is multiple people involved in my heartache. However, I can only say my side of the story. And for the sake of the story time video, I'm going to change the names of the parties involved. I am aware that some people know at least one of the other parties involved, but I'm still going to change the names of the parties. This is just me sharing my biggest heartache with you guys. And this is a very long story. This is almost 5 years of history, but I'm going to try my best to make this video as quick as possible and as straight to the point as possible. So I decided to just put it into parts. So pretty much sum up each year so you guys could be able to understand pretty much the story. So with that being said, let's get started with this story time. To change the names of the parties involved, we're going to name the guy Brian, and we are going to name the other party Deshauna. So this goes all the way back to my high school days. So my freshman year of high school, I always been a shy, quiet girl, but once I'm comfortable and I'm in my element, I come out my shell and I am this fun, bubbly personality person. And my freshman year of high school, I was in the cafeteria with my friends, and I always noticed that this specific guy, is always paying attention to me or looking at me, and I felt weird. Mind you, at the time, I wasn't even that comfortable with my English. I mean, I'm still not that comfortable with my English, but back then it was worse. So, I tried to stick to the people that I could communicate with, meaning that spoke Spanish. So yeah, but my group in high school, it was like a melting pot of friends. There was people from Guyana, there was people from Mexico, there was people from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. It was like a melting pot of just friends on one lunch table. So this specific day, this guy kept just staring at me, and one of my friends was noticing, and she said, this person has been really paying attention to you. Why don't you speak to him? And I said no, because I was never the type of person to go up to a guy. Obviously now it's different, but back then I didn't have that in me. So I left it alone. I think a few weeks later, again in the lunchroom, I believe I was online, and I was talking to a friend of mine. She was from Cuba. She was dark skinned just like me, and she was speaking to me in Spanish. And the guy, Brian, he was, I think, 2 or 3 people behind me, and he noticed that we were speaking Spanish. So he was like, what the hell? So then from there, whenever he would refer himself to me, he used to call me the black girl that spoke Spanish because he didn't know my name. So whenever he would talk about me to other people, that's how he referred to me. Later that day in lunchtime, he approached one of my friends who was dating one of his friends, and he said, yo, like, I like your friend, what's up with her and stuff like that. And she told him, you're gonna have to find out on your own, go talk to her. So he comes to talk to me and stuff, and I always found the guy attractive. You know, he wasn't a bad looking dude, and he didn't seem like a horrible person. So hey, so you know, he approaches me, and that's when we started to get to know each other. And then towards the end of our freshman year of high school, he ended up asking me out. So that right there was the beginning of our relationship. So now that we're in a relationship, you know, year one, it was pretty fun. But my first year, it was pretty much just us getting to know each other more, and it was more fun. I didn't really dive into it too much, or I didn't take it too seriously because it was only year one. You know, I was technically a teenager back then. I always been like the mature one in pretty much all my friendships, but I was still young at that time, so I wasn't really, you know, taking my relationship seriously. Year one was fun. When we started approaching year two, that's when I started noticing, okay, this person is really serious about me, so maybe I should take him seriously. And when it comes to me dating, if I take you seriously, or if I feel like we can potentially go somewhere, I'm going to introduce you to my mother. Like, that is automatic. You know, you want to enter my life, you gotta meet mommy. So yeah, so you know, this person ended up meeting my mom. My mom welcomed him in, you know, so, and my mom treated him like family. My mom doesn't have any sons, so my mom saw him like a son. You know, whenever we would go on trips in the summertime, like to the beach or Six Flags, it was automatic that he would come with us. So, you know, and he would come home for Sunday dinners and stuff like that. He would always help around the house. He was overall a great guy, even though his life wasn't the best. He had like personal things going on in his life that I just tried to just be there for him, because the things that he was going through, I never been through. You know, my life was never the easiest, but my mom always worked hard and made sure that her daughters was always good. So the things that he was going through is like, how can somebody this young be going through all this stuff, you know? And all I could do was just be there and be supportive. So yeah, all throughout high school, I was attending this after school program through Harlem Children's Zone. I was always all about my books. Like, I was, you know, that's one thing that everybody could tell you. I was always about my grades. I went to high school to get my grades. You know, I didn't go to high school to make friends or meet the man of my dreams. I was always about my books. And yes, I had friends, and yes, I met this guy, but number one was always my books. On the other hand, this guy, Brian, he wanted to be a basketball player, and he also wanted to be a rapper. So, you know, so pretty much two opposites. Educational wise, he didn't have much dreams when it came to education, where I knew that my mom always told me, you know, education is number one. You know, you have to finish high school so you can go to college and this and that. Like, that's what was installed in me growing up. So that was the type of child that I was. So yeah, so year one, you know, it was a fun year. Year two was also a good year. We try to make the best of it when it came to like going on little dates and stuff. Like, we would go to picnics because we couldn't afford like a lot of stuff, like going to the movies and stuff like that. So we would do little picnics, we would go to the beach, like things that were free and that we could do as long as we were spending time with each other. From time to time, we did go to the movies, like once in a blue, whenever we had money. So you know, we made the best of it. I was going to this after school program that, depending on where my grade level is at, you get a stipend. So part of that money I was saving, it wasn't a lot, but part of that money I was saving, and part of that money I was using it as pocket money. So whenever like I saved enough, you know, we would try to do something. And he was also attending like some Saturday academy type of thing, and they used to award him movie tickets, and that's how we were able to go to the movies. And that was pretty much the dynamic of the relationship, I believe, for the first 3 years. And when it came to being in high school, he was a very fun person. I mean, he was known as a class clown, where, you know, I was always like the shy girl. But a lot of people would like see me in high school and they wouldn't really know that that's me. Like, if you try to describe me to somebody and you say my name, they could be like, who's that? You know, but if you maybe describe me in other ways, they will probably know. I was that type of I think I was that person that not a lot of people knew, or not a lot of people will remember, but certain things about me you would remember. So yeah, whereas to him, he was more popular because, you know, he was the class clown. He was known for roasting people and stuff like that, you know, like the hood American and the shy Guatemalan, you know, it was in two different scales. So there were some people in high school that, you know, were attracted to me, that liked me, and they were in our same group of friends, and he didn't like that. He was very, I wouldn't say he was jealous, but he was territorial. He always liked to like protect his own. So if he knew that somebody that I call a friend liked me, he didn't want me around that person. But I am my own person. If I want to be around somebody, I'm gonna be around somebody, you know, because at the end of the day, I'm smart. I think I know what to do and what not to do when it comes to certain people. So the first 3 years, you know, it was I would say cool. And then the fourth year came around, our senior year of high school. We getting ready to, you know, apply for colleges and stuff like that, preparing your essays and all that stuff. And I'm trying to find out, hey, what are you gonna do? What colleges you planning on applying to? Like, how is your essay looking like? And he's like, I don't really see myself going to college. And to me, that's important. So I'm like, I mean, you're not going to college? Like, you better start applying. Like, even if it's a community college, you going. And mind you, this is something that he says. If it wasn't for me, he would have not graduated high school, because my mother and I make sure that, you know, he went to school, he had decent attendance and stuff like that. Like, we pushed him. So when he said that he really want to go to college, I was like, okay, if you don't want to go to college, you got to do something, you know. And he said, I could apply to the school that you're applying to, you know. I said, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. He wanted to go to the school that I wanted to go, but because of his grade point average, he wasn't accepted to majority of the schools. And the one school that I decided to go to, he was accepted to. However, because of his grade point average, he wasn't allowed to live on campus. I don't know how that works, but yeah. So he decided that, you know, because he cannot live on campus, he's just not gonna go. He's gonna do other stuff. He was the type of person that rather make money instead of like further his education. Where I'm standing now in my life, I've noticed that for certain things, you don't need a college degree. You know, if you're good at what you're doing, you don't need that. But for me, having that college degree was important. So that's why I pursued going to college. The whole college process, that's kind of when like the relationship became a little, I wouldn't say rocky, but that's when I started to notice the difference. You know, my interest wasn't really his interest, and I started to notice that that was in a way affecting him, because he didn't like the idea that he could go to the same college as me, but he can't, you know, live in the dorms. And that kind of had a big impact on him. So he just decided, I'm just going to work and, you know, make my money. Hey, if that's what you want to do, all right, cool, but I'm gonna continue with what I want to do, which is go to college. So we graduated high school. I went away to college a few months later. And my freshman year of college, it was hard because I went far away in the North Country. He was working, so the agreement was that we would try to see each other at least once a month, if possible, have breaks from school. But you know, there's some months that we don't have breaks, so that was the month that he would come up there. So that's pretty much how we did things my first semester. And also that semester, I didn't have a phone because the company that we were under didn't have any cell towers up north. So my first semester, I didn't have a phone. So we had to pretty much rely on Skype. That's how I was getting in contact with my mom and my little sister, and also him. And we had like a house phone in our dorm, but you were not able to make outgoing calls. You were only able to receive phone calls. So that was another way that I was able to communicate with my loved ones. So when I went up to college, my family and him went to drop me off, you know, so they make sure that I was all set. And then they came back home. Then his first visit by himself, you know, he would come up with like gifts for me, like a teddy bear or like Victoria's Secret, like little things, whatever he could do. And you know, it was greatly appreciated. So yeah, I think after his second or third visit, he said that he won't be able to, you know, be traveling like that because, you know, him buying the bus ticket to come see me was a lot of money for him at the time. So I said, okay, that's understandable. So then what we can do is just, you can come visit me one time in a semester and I'll see you whenever I come home from breaks. So we went from trying to see each other every month to, you know, whenever he was able to do that if I wasn't coming home for a break. So then fast forward to that December, we came home for like a winter break where we were home for about 3 weeks, almost pretty much a month. So I come home. When I came home, the dynamics of the relationship was completely different. Usually when I would come home, he would come pick me up from Port Authority. He would drop me off home and stuff like that. And I knew that when he wasn't able to do that, I knew that like something is up, because even if he had to work, he would do anything that he could to make sure that he sees me. And when I felt like you not putting as much effort to be able to spend time with me, when especially when we spend a lot of time together when we can, that's a red flag to me. So that was like the beginning of everything. So then I ended up coming home. I made it to my mom's house and everything, and he comes see me the next day. But when he came to see me, it wasn't the same. He was on his phone a lot, like texting other people and stuff, and he was pretty much just absent. Like he was there in the living room with me, but he was absent. And at first I didn't pay much mind to it. It is what it is. And by this time he had a different work schedule. Now this was what, 3 jobs later. Now he's working from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So a lot of the times he was tired. And here goes Darieny again, being understanding. You know, I would let him come to my house, and if he was tired, I would let him take a nap. And whenever it was time for him to wake up again for work, I will wake him up so he can, you know, prepare himself and go to work. So then this is when things get very interesting. So the very first time that he took a nap, you know, at my house before he went to work, he told me to wake him up at 5 o'clock. So, you know, he could have enough time to get ready and make it all the way back to Brooklyn. He lived in Brooklyn. At this time, I lived in Harlem in Manhattan. So I was supposed to wake him up at 5 o'clock so he can get ready and go to work. 5 o'clock rolls around and I go to wake him up. And as I'm waking him up, his phone is ringing. So I said, Brian, you need to wake up. You need to get ready to go to work. So he says, yeah, I know, my friend just woke me up. So now I'm dumbfounded. Who is your friend? Because out of all the friends that I knew after high school, majority of them were males. And I don't know of any male that is willing to wake you up so you can go to work. So it's like, what the heck? So it's like, okay, all right, cool. So get ready and go to work. And then, so he would go to work, and I would notice that whenever we would spend time together, he would spend a lot of time texting this friend of his. So I inquire about the friend. Hey, who is this friend? And that's when he tells me, oh, my friend Deshauna. I said, who is Deshauna? I never heard of a Deshauna at this point. It was about 4.5 years. I said, I never heard Deshauna in all these 4 years. Where does Deshauna come from? And he says, oh, she's a friend from middle school. And now, my antennas are up. I said, and how come I never heard of her? He told me that Deshauna was elsewhere and she just came back to Brooklyn, and that's how she was able to make contact with him, and that's why now they have a friendship again. So I said, okay, when am I gonna meet this Deshauna? And he said, oh, you'll meet her, it's no big deal. I said, all right, cool, I'll meet her eventually. So all right, no problem. So I know who my boyfriend is hanging out with or who his friends are. I want to be able to make sure that when you're not around me, you still good, you still surrounding yourself with good company. So back to this friend, he tells me about her, and I said, all right, cool. So then I believe about a week later, Christmas is rolling around. He wanted to go to Macy's, so we ended up going to Macy's, and he bought whatever he needed to buy, and then we were going to go out to dinner. And then we walking, and randomly he stops me and he says, I have a question for you. And I said, yeah, what's up? He says, how do you feel about a female friend giving me a Christmas gift? And I said, well, it depends on the friend, and depends on what she's gifting you, because I think as a friend there's certain things that you should gift and certain things that you shouldn't gift. But he says, oh, okay, just wanted to know your opinion about it. I said, why do you ask me? And that's when he told me that his friend Deshauna told him that she was going to get him a Christmas gift, and he wanted to make sure that I was okay with it. So I said, okay, I mean, it's up to you. Get a gift, but just know that if it's something that I don't approve of, I think you should give it back. Or if you want to throw it away, you can throw it away. I left the conversation alone. It didn't sit well with me, but I also didn't want to dig into it too much, and I didn't want to cause no problems because I knew that my time with him was limited. And when I say that, I mean, I had pretty much 3 weeks to a month to spend time with my boyfriend. So I didn't want negativity to get in the way, because I just felt like maybe I was reading into it too much, or I was seeing things where there wasn't anything. So I left it alone. So then fast forward, I think a few days later, I was at his place with him. He was living at this point in a different area of Brooklyn. The house was his friends and his girlfriend, and he was living there with them. So fast forward to a few days later, like I said, I go to visit him. When it's time for him to go to work again that night, we take a cab together. And while we're in the cab, here comes the phone ringing, like somebody's calling him. And, he takes it out of his pocket and looks at it, and is Deshauna. Now at this point, I'm seeing too much of Deshauna. What the hell? There's no way in hell, or maybe there is a way, but come on, there's no way that you just got in contact with this friend again, and this person is just there too much. you know, like as a female, that didn't sit well with me. So now in my head, I'm like, listen, I'm seeing too much of Deshauna. You're talking a lot about Deshauna. Like, what the hell? You know, he's like, no, she's just checking up on me. You know, she knows that I work at a certain time, and she knows that I have to be up and on my way to work at a certain time. So she's just pretty much making sure that I'm up and on my way to work. And at this point now I have an attitude, and I told them, listen, if anybody should be making sure that you're waking up to go to work and that you're on your way to go to work, it's me. So he's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, you know, and blah blah blah. I said, you know what, all right, fine. So we drive the rest of the way towards his job area, and I told him at this time I had like, I think 10 pounds extra. You know, according to him it looked good, but for me, when it comes to the way I look, I don't do it for other people, I do it for me. So I was telling him that I wanted, you know, to learn some things so I can be able to lose these extra pounds that I have, because I didn't feel comfortable. And he said, oh, my friend could help you. And I'm thinking, oh, it's maybe one of his male friends. And then he goes and says, my friend Deshauna just lost over 50 pounds. You know, maybe I could ask her some pointers so, you know, that can help you out. That right there just upset me. And you know, some people will say, oh, you're overreacting, but no, that right there really pissed me off. So I told him, no, if that's the case, then no, I'll figure it out on my own, and I will do it on my own. Like, so we get to his job area, he goes to work, and I walk to the train, and I make my way home. So that's that. Fast forward to another week, and this was the week that I was gonna go back to school. Before you go back to school, you pretty much have to make sure, or you don't really have to, but I wanted to make sure that everything was in good standing with my school. So I go and check my school portal, and I realized that I have a hold on my account. So I decided to contact my counselor at the time through also Harlem Children's Zone, like I said earlier. And my counselor told me, yeah, come back on this day at this time, and, you know, find a solution for it. I said, okay. So the next day comes around, I was supposed to go see Brian, but I had to, you know, handle that school situation first. So at around 12 o'clock, I was supposed to go see my counselor, so my counselor could be able to help me with the hold that I had on my account. I went, and we fixed it in like literally less than 15 minutes. So I decided, okay, my boyfriend wants to see me, and he thought that this process was gonna take long, but it only took 15 minutes. So let me just go and surprise him. Bad idea. So I'm in Harlem. I go to 125th, and I try to take the fastest way that I can to get to him. He was living, I don't even know the area in Brooklyn, but he was living by the J and the Z train by Gates Avenue. So I'm on 125th, and I take the express train down, I believe Fulton. I forgot the stop. I don't know if it's Fulton or not, but I transfer there from the 5 to the J train. So I'm riding the J train. The J train is local, so, you know, I feel like it's taking me forever to get there. So I'm on my way, and I'm still, you know, in the mindset, oh, you know, my boyfriend wants to see me, so, you know, here I come. So when I'm 3 stops away, he called me to see like whether we're going to see each other or not. So I told him, yes, you're gonna get to see me, I'm already on my way. But I didn't tell him how far I was. I get to Gates Avenue, and he lives about 3 blocks, I would say 2-3 blocks away, because the way it's 1 block, but you have to go up the block and then turn in that same block. So it's like, you know, I get off on Gates Avenue, and I walk towards his house. And when I'm down the block from the house, I see somebody coming out the house, and it's a female. And stupid me, I'm just thinking, oh, that's his friend's girlfriend. Friends, you know, I didn't think nothing of it. When I tell you I did not think anything of it, I really did not think anything of it. So this person gets out the house. I'm still walking. The person walks and she gets in a cab, but the cab does not move. At this point, I'm like about 20 steps away. I open the gate and I go up the steps and I'm knocking on the door, and I'm not getting any responses. And then the person comes out of the taxi and she comes and she's also knocking on the door. So what I do, I move myself a little bit from the door because I don't know who this person is. So I move a little bit and the person is knocking and knocking, and you know, she's also not getting any response. So then she takes out her phone and calls, and I'm guessing the person answers, and she says, "Brian, you did not give me any money for my cab." So now I'm confused. I'm like, huh? There's only one Brian that I know that lives in here. So it's like, what the heck? Then she goes and says, "You know what? Forget it. I'm gonna just pay it on my own. I got it." Hangs up the phone and she directs herself towards me and she says, "Who are you?" So I tell her, you know, my name is Darieny, and she goes and says, "My name is Deshauna. I'm Brian's girlfriend." What? And now she's like, I don't know if she's feeling herself or what, but she was very hood like. So she pulls her purse a little closer to her and she's like, "Oh, that's my man for almost 4 months now." I'm still frozen. I'm numb. And some way, somehow the words come blurring out my mouth. And I said, "Oh, I'm Brian's girlfriend of almost 5 years." And at this point, you can literally see the change in this girl's face. Like, she went from, you know, to what the even though I was frozen, the fact that I've been this person's girlfriend for almost 5 years compared to her 3 to 4 little months, in a way kind of gave me the upper hand. So, you know, I was just standing there. I had to show her that, like, you know, I'm confident. So I'm just standing there and looking at her like, okay, compare your 4 little months to my almost 5 years, you know. And I swear to you, I almost thought that this girl was gonna punch me in my face, but she just turns back towards the door and now she's banging the heck out of the door. She's like, "Brian, open this door right now." And she's banging and banging and banging on the door, and I'm still just there watching her do this stuff. Like, girl, what are you doing? Calm down. And nobody's answering the door, so she gets in the cab, and the cab's literally pulls away. So now I'm standing here. I'm still trying to process everything. Like, I was so numb. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch somebody in the face all at once. But I was just literally standing there frozen. I didn't know what to do. I just traveled all the way from Harlem to Brooklyn. And now I have to go all the way back again. And with the way that I'm feeling right now, like, this is insane. And when I tell you that I felt like the world was just coming down on me, it was a horrible feeling, and I just couldn't help but feel that way. So, you know, I took a deep breath and I tried to calm myself down, and Brian's friend come open the door, and I said, "Where's Brian?" He says, "Oh, he's in the bathroom." He has the door open, but it's like cracked. It's not open all the way. So I swing the door all the way open and I get in the house and I make a beeline towards the bathroom, and the doorknob is locked. I'm not the type of person to make a big scene. Obviously, after it happened, I was thinking like, oh, I should have wilded out. I should have went crazy, but I'm not that type of person. So when I noticed that the door wasn't opening to the bathroom, I just went and I just sat on his bed and I waited for him. He comes out the bathroom and he's like half asleep or something like that. And, you know, he has the nerve to ask me what I'm doing there. And I said, what I'm doing here? I came to surprise you. You wanted to see me, and I'm here. And I just come here and I have to encounter this BS. Like, what the heck is going on? You know, and I feel like at this point, I was hoping that he would tell me, oh, it's not true or something like that. And he just goes and says, I don't know what you're talking about. And when I tell you, I didn't know what to say or what to do, I was like, okay. And he comes and sits next to me and he tells me, oh, it's nothing. She's just a friend. And I said, she's not just a friend because she told me she's your girlfriend. Like, what is going on? And at this point, yes, call me stupid, but I was literally hoping for him to tell me that everything is just a joke or something. But it obviously wasn't a joke. So, you know, he was still sitting right next to me for like, I think an hour, trying to convince me that it's nothing and this, that, and that. And, you know, I just wasn't having it. And even though he was talking to me, I was in another world. Like, I was thinking of the words. I was thinking of what I should do at this very moment, you know. But I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to go home. So I went home. To this day, I don't even remember the ride home. I just remember being so numb on the train and just wanted to cry. I just wanted to cry. But for some weird reason, it was just not coming out. So I get to my stop on the train for me to go home, and I call my best friend. And I guess she noticed in my voice that something was up, and she calls me by my nickname, Yanni. So she said, Yanni, what's the matter? Are you okay? And when she told me those words, something just came over me. Like, I felt human again, and I just started crying. And mind you, I'm in the middle of the street walking towards my house, and I'm just crying. And she says, where are you? Do I need to come get you? And I told her, this just happened to me and I can't believe it. Like, I don't even know what to do. And, you know, she's telling me, oh, don't cry, it's gonna be all right. And, you know, she's trying her best to encourage me, but I'm just, I was a mess. I was literally a freaking mess. Mind you, this was a day before I had to go back to school, you know. So I was just so numb. I made it home. Thankfully, nobody was home, and I was just numb, and I went to sleep. And I was legit hoping that I will wake up and think that everything was just a joke, but clearly it wasn't. So I woke up again and I had to pack up. And, you know, I packed up. I'm trying my best to not let what happened affect me. And I'm trying my best not to think about it. And, you know, I'm trying to pack up and this person is blowing up my phone and I'm not answering him. Like, what the hell? Why am I answering to you for? So next day comes. At this time, during that break, I was a bus manager for the school bus. Now imagine having to be strong and having to pretty much be in charge or look after all the people on the bus and not being there mentally. So, you know, we made it back to school and everything. I think for the first 3 days I was just moving. Like, I don't even know how I did it, but I was just moving. I was just walking around doing stuff. I can't even like make sense of what I was doing. One day I'm just in my room and it just all hits me like, this really just happened to me, you know. And at this point I felt like almost 5 years of my life has been wasted, you know. I even felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt worthless. Like, I felt the most horrible feelings a person could feel about themselves. Like, I was devastated, you know. And I didn't feel it until I went back to school and I was alone in my room, you know. And it was crazy. And luckily I had a coworker, you know, she came to check up on me, and she noticed that I was off, and she said what's wrong, but I didn't want to talk about it, you know, because even though at this point that happened to me, I was still hoping that maybe one day me and him could work it out. So I wasn't even thinking about me. I didn't want people to see him in a bad light. So I didn't say anything to anyone, like not even my family knew. The only person that at this point knew about it was my best friend. So the person said, okay, if you don't want to talk about it, then at least, you know, go see a therapist or something like that. If it's that big to you, or is that big of a deal, then maybe you should go seek help. And I said, like, no, I don't need counseling, like I'm good, I'm just upset. And she says, no, you're not being yourself. I think you should, you know, seek help and see what it does for you. So, you know, I listened to her, and I ended up going to counseling. I was in counseling for about 3 months, and that helped me, you know, a lot. Like, it helped me realize that what this person did, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with him. And also going to counseling helped me, you know, rebuild my confidence again. It helped me love myself again, because that experience, it broke me down. Like, I think I cried myself to sleep for a good 5 days. I didn't have an appetite. I was up, like, you know. And this is not even the end of the story, but I'm just gonna like leave it here. But you know, I was messed up, and counseling helped me a lot. And if you see me now, people will say, oh my gosh, this girl is so arrogant, oh, this girl is so this. But now, like, I love myself. You know, I worked on myself. I'm a completely different person than that experience. I learned to like love myself all over again. I learned to trust myself and trust other people all over again, because after that happened to me, and also a combination of like other things that had happened to me before that, I just feel like everybody that's trying to get close to me just wants to hurt me in the end, you know. So it took a lot for me to get to where I am now, but now here I am. I would like to say that I'm over it, because now I can legit talk about what happened to me without getting those same feelings again, without me crying. So I've noticed that I've grown, and I became over the whole situation, because here I am, you know, all happy. I love myself. I'm able to actually love other people in a completely different space now. And even now that I'm able to make this video, I feel even more liberated, because now certain people in my life are going to be able to watch it and understand. Like, I remember when my mom asked me about him, you know, my mom told me, I haven't seen this person in a while, like, what's going on? And I told her we broke up, and she straight up told me, oh yeah, probably broke up because of you. And that really hit me, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to share with her what happened, because I felt in a way defeated, because the way she was reacting to it, I feel like I expected my mother to be more supportive. Like, if I'm telling my mom me and a specific person broke up, I think I would want you to be there and be a support system. But instead, I felt angry when she says, oh, he probably broke up with you because of you, because of your attitude, and because you're so demanding. And it's like, wow, like, oh, that's how you really feel? Like, then at this point, I don't even have to share with you what happened. So being able to make this video and knowing that she's going to watch it, I feel better. I feel good, because I feel like now she's gonna be able to understand me in a way, if she does. But yeah, I'm just glad that I made this video. I feel liberated, and there's obviously more to the story, but this is my side of the story. And yeah, my biggest heartache was pretty much being cheated on and having to find out the way I found out and what it did to my self-esteem. It was a lot to handle, but I came out of it, you know, and here I am, you know, happy, showing my best face forward. So, and like I said in the other video, and also if you haven't watched my previous random Q&A, make sure you go watch it, because this is where this idea came from, that I agreed to make a story time about my biggest heartache. I'll make sure to link the video down below, so make sure you definitely check it out. And yeah, hope you guys liked this video. If you did, leave this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and definitely share my video. You know, if you enjoyed it, share with other people. Maybe people need to hear my story, or maybe people had similar stories or the same story as me. You know, you can come out of a situation like that. If I was able to do it, trust me, you or anyone can definitely come out of it. So yeah, like I said, you know, if you like this video, leave it a thumbs up, comment down below, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao.